Let's talk about something that can happen in any workplace, an allegation of misconduct. Now, what happens next seems like it should be a simple question, right? But the answer actually shows this really fascinating split in how different places, say a standard office versus a church ministry, think about fairness and justice.
So just imagine it for a second. An accusation is made. It could be about anything, really, from job performance to something much more serious. So what's the very next step? You'd probably think there's just one standard rulebook for this stuff, but, well, the short answer is there really isn't.
You see, the whole procedure comes down to which playbook the organization is using. For most workplaces, that playbook is a standard evidence-based code of practice. But for an organization that's driven by a mission, like a church ministry, the rules can be completely different. So let's put these two playbooks side by side and see what happens.
Okay, so first up, let's set our baseline. We're going to look at the ACAS Code of Practice. You can think of this as the standard blueprint for how to handle disciplinary issues in most workplaces across the UK.
So what's the whole point of this ACAS code? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's to make sure that no matter where you work, the process is structured, it's transparent, and most importantly, it's fair. It's all designed to bring consistency and justice for the individual.
And this is what that process looks like in action. It always starts with trying to sort things out informally, with a chat. If that doesn't work, then it moves up to a formal investigation to get all the facts. That's followed by a hearing, a formal decision, and, this is really key, the employee always has the right to appeal. It's a very clear, logical ladder.
And everything, the whole ACAS code, is built on these 4 pillars. They're basically about fundamental rights. You have the right to be heard and to state your case, the right to have everything written down, the right to bring someone with you for support, and the right to an outcome that actually fits the situation. This is our benchmark for justice at work.
Okay, but what happens when an organization's main goal isn't just workplace fairness, but protecting a mission? Let's switch gears and look at our second playbook, the one used by the United Reformed Church, or URC. This is where things get tailored to a very different world.
Now, this quote from the URC's own rulebook tells you everything you need to know about their mindset. For them, an allegation isn't just an HR problem. Nope. It's seen as a direct threat to the credibility and witness of the entire church. So the stakes, as you can see, are defined very, very differently.
So their process has some familiar-sounding steps, like an investigation and a hearing. But look closer. The bodies and the language are totally different. Allegations get sent to a moderator, and hearings are handled by something called an Assembly Commission for Discipline. It's a completely self-contained system for a specialized world.
All right, we've seen the basic outlines. Now for the really crucial part. Let's do a side-by-side comparison of the actual rules they play by. This is where we're going to see how the very idea of a fair process starts to split apart.
And this table. This gets right to the heart of it. Take a look at that top row. The standard of proof is actually the same for both. It's what's called the balance of probabilities. Basically, is it more likely than not that this thing happened? But now, look down at that bottom row. Hearsay evidence. Under the standard ACAS rules, it's a non-starter. You can't use it. But in the URC process, it can be considered. And that one little difference can change everything.
Abstract rules are one thing, but to see what this actually means for a real person, let's walk through a case study. This is where these procedures stop being words on a page and become someone's reality. First, let's get on the same page. What do we mean by hearsay? It's secondhand information. It's basically a rumor. It's the someone told me that they heard kind of evidence. And the big problem with it is that you can't cross-examine a rumor. You can't question the original source.
So, let's meet Reverend Sarah Johnson. She's a minister with the URC, and she's been accused of saying some inappropriate things while on a church retreat. And here is the massive problem. The entire case against her is built on hearsay. The people who made the official complaint, they didn't hear the comments themselves. Someone else told them about it. And crucially, that original source, the one person who supposedly heard everything firsthand, isn't available to testify.
So the URC's commission heard the case, following their unique playbook. They knew the evidence was all hearsay, but they decided that what they called the cumulative effect, that is, several people all reporting the same secondhand story, was enough. And based on that, they found her guilty of misconduct and gave her a formal warning.
Okay, so that's the outcome under the URC's rules. But what if this had happened in a standard office, following the ACAS code? How would that process handle a case built entirely on secondhand stories?
And wow, this slide says it all, doesn't it? Under the URC's process, she got a formal warning. But under the standard ACAS process, where hearsay just isn't admissible without a direct witness, the case would almost certainly have been dismissed due to lack of evidence. Two different playbooks, two completely different realities for the person at the center of it all.
So what is the big takeaway from all this? It's that procedure is never neutral. The rules are always designed to serve a purpose, and that purpose is shaped by what an organization values most.
At the end of the day, an organization's rulebook is like a mirror. It reflects its true priorities. Is the ultimate goal universal, evidence-based fairness for the individual, or is it protecting the credibility of a wider mission? The rules they choose will tell you the answer.
So let's just boil it down one last time. The ACS system is built for the everyday workplace, and it demands solid, direct evidence. The URC system, on the other hand, is custom-built for its world, where protecting the church's witness allows it to make decisions based on evidence that other systems would simply have to throw out.
And that leaves us with a really big, challenging question. We've just seen that different standards of justice do exist, depending on where you work. The real question isn't whether they exist, but whether they should. Thanks for joining this explainer.